Welcome back to Breakfast Television. It's no secret we've just gone through the highest interest rates and inflation in decades, with lots of Canadians feeling the pinch, especially at the grocery store and traveling. So here to help us save money this summer is Senior Financial Advisor and Senior Portfolio Manager Shiraz Ahmed. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning. Thank you for having me. I'm great.
Okay, let's start with interest rates, where they're sitting right now.
They're at actually about 5%. The Bank of Canada just raised them recently yet again, and although it was a bit of a surprise for many folks, it actually was fairly priced into the market. So this doesn't come as a huge shocker.
But and then if you're trying to take out a mortgage now, what's that looking like?
Well, the rate will likely be a little bit higher than what the overnight rate will be by the bank, but I think we're probably closing in on some 7%-ish range, but don't quote me on that one. You'd have to check with your lender.
Wow, that is high.
It is high. And you know, our parents will say, hey, well, when we had homes in the 80s and stuff like that, they were going through that like 20,
18 yeah.
But it's not the 80s anymore, and a lot of this generation has a lot of debt that they're dealing with as well, right?
Absolutely. So I think that the major fundamental difference between what our parents' generation went through in the 80s versus what we're going through now is the household debt levels. We're about 10x higher. So if you think about it, the average mortgage back then was 100 grand, 150 grand. Ours nowadays might be 1 million, 1.5 million, especially if you're in major population centers. Yeah, like Toronto and Vancouver are pretty steep. So it's not surprising that Canadians nowadays, while the rates aren't as high, are feeling a little bit more of a pinch than our parents did.
Makes sense.
We were just talking about traveling in our You Sound Off segment, and people talking about the fact that they're not going to do a lot of travel because everything is so expensive. Are there ways to save money and still be able to do something, get out for a little while?
Absolutely. So there are things that you can do. So TripAdvisor had a stat where if you were to look at booking your vacation closing in towards the end of August, you can actually save upwards of 23%.
Okay.
So timing is a really big factor when looking at making expenses like vacations. So another stat that's really interesting as well is that there's kind of a sweet spot, and this is one that I can actually take from my wife. If you're booking travel, especially if you're flying, think about 120 days out is kind of the sweet spot as to when pricing tends to be towards the lowest that it would be, depending on your destination. And also think of things like putting your web browser in incognito mode.
Yeah.
So that way, a lot of these airlines have dynamic pricing. So if you keep searching the same thing, all of a sudden you're actually going to be jacking up the price on yourself.
Yeah, that's how I search my place all the time, incognito, always. It's a great tip right there.
I never knew that.
Oh, yeah, it's a good hack for sure. You want to be doing that because and we know the algorithms and things like that. You have some other tips for us. I think who in this room has cash in their pockets right now or in their purse? Okay, more than I thought there would be in this room, because you say that's a great way or a better way to kind of save, sort of.
Sort of. Now, again, it depends on your means and your situation as well. But when you're spending money, especially if you're using plastic, and nowadays most of us tend to use that, or even your phone, you're just tapping, you're not being as mindful of how much money you're spending. But let's say if you had a $100 bill, and I remember I went to a festival with my family recently, and they only took cash. So when I went there, all of a sudden I had a $100 bill and I was breaking. I'm like, oh my God, this is going really fast.
Yeah.
So you're just more aware of what you're spending when you're using cash.
That's so true. It's so true. I find it way too easy. And then with online shopping as well, like all of the electronic ways to pay for things and buy things. But if you've got to hand someone your actual dollars, hard-earned money, it changes your perception.
Especially if you have that bigger bill. You're like, oh, I don't want... No. I don't want to break that. That's it. We're talking about the inflation at the grocery store as well. What can we do to save there?
Look, we all have to eat. So unfortunately, some of these price increases that we've seen, we're all facing it. So it doesn't matter how much money you have, it's a variable that we all have to face. A couple of things that you can do is some retailers do offer concepts like price matching. So wherever possible, try to see if they will accept price matching.
Right.
And that kind of leads into a degree of couponing. I know it's not fashionable, but in these times, we have to do what we need to do in order to make ends meet.
Right. And I feel like I just saw on PayPal or something like that. I just signed up for something where they will, when I'm buying something and using PayPal, they will automatically search for any coupons that, are available anywhere. I don't have to do anything. They'll just find it, apply it, and that's that.
Amazing. There's lots of apps out there that will help you with these things. So that's where there's a lot of different ones that exist, but I would recommend using whichever one's best for you, and also making sure that the retailers that you're working with also do accept them.
We got about 30 seconds here. I want to talk about the rewards and loyalty points that you say that we should get to.
Absolutely. So if you have been spending, especially your bigger purchases, and you've been accumulating rewards or loyalty points for any of the programs that exist out there, this may be a good time to look at cashing them in, whether it be for lowering that price for that plane ticket or using it for a night out or an event with family. This is a good time to look at using it.
It's a lot of great tips for us. Thank you so much for being here. Where can people find more information and more about you online?
Great question. So if you want to find more about myself, you can visit my website, sartorialwealth.com, or you can visit my YouTube channel, Sartorial Wealth of Raymond James.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, and happy summer, man. Let's get out there and have some fun and save some money at the same time, right? To save people. Great tips for that. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
We'll be back with more BT after this.